What's going on YouTube? So over the past few years, Hyundai has been expanding their lineup, not just in the number of models they offer, but also in the physical size in the case of this Tucson. This model was all new last year with a radical design, and now we are with the latest 2023 version, which is including even more standard features. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in and check it out. Now when it comes to this new Tucson, nothing stands out more than this exterior design. Hyundai was intent on making you notice this model, especially over the kind of bland offerings that this segment usually has. So what are you gonna get? You're gonna get a very bold design starting up here in the front. So you've got a very aggressive face. This grille is gonna take up most of the front end. With the limited trim level, you're gonna have the blacked out badging as well as the inline. And you will have a more rugged look if you choose the XRT, but by and large, you're gonna have this same overall look for most of the trim levels. What is really unique though is how the grille integrates in with the headlights. So you'll notice the grille kind of goes right into this. This is your daytime running light, all of these through here. So when the car is off, it really just looks like it's part of the grille. When the car is on, it has a very unique lighting signature that looks like nothing else on the road. LED daytime running lights, LED turn signal indicators. You're also going to have standard LED headlights. This is the headlight unit itself. Projector LEDs for this limited trim level, reflector LEDs on all the other trim levels, and none of the models will have LED fog lamps. Complementing the bold exterior design cues, we also have some bold wheel options. You're going to start out with 17-inch alloys for your SE and your SEL. However, if you choose the SEL with convenience package or any of the other trim levels above that, those are going to get you 19-inch alloy wheels in various different designs. Here with the limited trim level, we've got this very nice looking contrast alloy wheel. As you can see, a lot of black elements, lines, very unique design that matches with the angles you see on the rest of the exterior. As we rise above here, everything except for the base model will come standard with blind spot monitoring and heated mirrors. And then if you choose the limited trim level, that's where you'll get the chrome accent that runs through here.
All right, guys, so here at the side of the Tucson, obviously there is a lot going on in terms of the design. There's a lot of different angles and points and shapes. In typical Hyundai fashion, they definitely don't make the design bland. But I want to talk about the length before we move on to the back. We're looking at 182.3 inches in overall length, which is very competitive for the segment. It's over 6 inches larger than the previous generation Tucson, though, so this is a lot larger than those previous versions. Additionally, we do have this nice chrome piece going through the upper part and it kind of swoops down into the rear. SCL and above will include the roof rails as well. Now, moving around to the rear design of the Tucson, like I said, you're definitely not going to have a boring design. This is a segment of vehicle that tends to actually have pretty boring designs, but the Tucson is not going to be one of them. Now, for 2023, they haven't changed much, so we're still going to have an integrated spoiler up top. We do have our Hyundai branding actually integrated into the glass, which is a very unique touch for the Tucson. Then if we drop down, we're going to have full-length LED taillights, and these are going to be really cool-looking taillights. They're what I call fang-looking because they kind of go down into different points, and they are going to be LED if you go for at least the SEL trim level and above. Now, if we drop down to the lower areas, you will find an integrated turn signal as well as reverse light into the lower bumper areas. I'm not a big fan of these functions being down here in the lower bumper, but I guess that's fine in terms of the overall design. And then as far as this area, we do have some silver accenting since we do have that fully loaded limited model, and no model is going to have exposed exhaust outlets besides for the inline, which will have dual exposed exhaust on one side. And then for towing, you're going to have a 2,000 pound tow rating regardless of which powertrain you choose. All right, guys, now this is a family vehicle, so we need to talk about safety systems first, and then I'll hit the warranty. So for your safety systems, we are going to have some updates for 2023, which I'm very pleasantly surprised with. That's going to be that every single one of your safety systems are standard on every single trim level. So that's going to be forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, auto high beam headlamps, lane keeping assist, and the new feature for 2023 is the adaptive cruise control is now included on all of the Tucson models. Now, that is not to say that there aren't further upgrades, because if you go for a limited trim level, you will get smart parking system as well as rear auto braking thrown in. Now, for your warranty information, you're going to have Hyundai's signature warranty, which is the best in the business. 5-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty, 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, plus 3 years of complimentary maintenance. But guys, that wraps up the 2023 Tucson on the outside. Now let's check out the interior before we take it out in a spin.
So walking up to this 2023 Tucson, you will find Hyundai's Smart Entry System standard on the SEL trim level and above. And new for 2023, you also get the digital key system on the SEL and above. You also notice those 2 extra buttons here on the limited trim level. That's for Hyundai's Smart Parking System. Now to get inside, just grab behind the handle. We'll unlock the door. And there's a quick look inside the cabin before I climb inside and take a closer look at everything. Now right off the bat here, like always, let's go ahead and talk interior material and color selections. So your SE and your SEL trim level continue to come with cloth seating. However, new this year on the SEL Convenience and the XRT is the H-Tex Leatherette. Like I said, that is a new option this year. Of course, you still also have the cloth and leatherette combination on the inline, and then you do have leather on the limited trim level. That, of course, is what we have today. As you can see, nice looking seat, good stitching details and perforation. Overall comfort is really good as well. And as far as your color options, you have black and gray choices. Now turning over to the seat, you do have an 8-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support on the SEL trim level and above. And of course, this cabin was just fully redesigned last year, so you will continue to find all those same nice materials throughout. So we've got the leather covered armrest with the stitching detail. You've got this cloth insert that goes through the middle of the door trim. And then along the top, you've got a piano black accent and soft touch plastic. With the limited trim level, you also have 2-person memory seating built in right up there. And as far as the windows, they're going to be one-touch auto up and down for just the driver and the passenger. As we move up to the upper dash, this is all going to be finished in a nice soft touch plastic. That cloth accent will continue from the door trim onto the center part of the dash. It is going to be soft touch through there. You've got a lot of piano black plastic that runs all along through that part, and there is no padding along the inside part of the center console. Now start it up, put your foot on the brake, and press the button. Now with this new generation of Tucson, you do have a very unique design when it comes to the gauge cluster. As you can see, you don't really have a hood or anything like that. It's just a display that's kind of inset right there in front of you. This is the 10¼ inch display. It is going to be included on the SEL Convenience model and above. And as a reminder that SEL Premium package has been discontinued this year, so some of the features that were previously in that will kind of be spread between the SEL Convenience and the upper end trim levels. Now otherwise, you would get a 4.2 inch multi-function display. Now as a pull back here, we do have rain sensing wipers here on the limited trim level. And taking a look at the steering wheel, we do also have a nice leather wrap steering wheel with the newest Hyundai design. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping. If you want steering wheel heating though, you will have to choose the top end limited model. But as a family vehicle, it's got to be highly functional, so let's go ahead and check the interior storage. So let's start out underneath our center console here. Nice sized, as you can see, quite deep. There is a felt lining down there at the bottom. But nothing is officially good until we put it to the test. So I've got my thicker and thicker stack of coupons here. Let's go ahead and see how they fit. As you can see, those are going to fit in there, no problem whatsoever, just a tiny fold. Got our 2 cup holders in front of that, and then in the very front we've got a very large storage area. Plenty of space for your phone. You also have some USB connections right there. This will be a wireless phone charging pad now on the SEL Convenience and above. And you even have a little bit more storage along the side of the console as well. Now coming back to the shifter, we do have the electronic style push button shifter on just this limited trim level. Actually, if you choose any of the lower trim levels than this, for the traditional gas powered Tucson, that will come with a traditional style shifter. Nevertheless, operation of this is super simple. Of course, press the D for drive. You do have paddle shifters up here on the steering wheel. When you go into reverse, you will also find a 360-degree camera system here on the limited trim level. And off to the side here is where you can change your views. You also have your front and rear parking sensors located right up there. And that does remind me, I did forget to mention something earlier with the gauge cluster. The limited trim level comes with the blind view camera system as well. So if you signal to the right or to the left, you do get that live camera feed of your blind spot. And then back behind the shifter, you have an electronic parking brake and auto brake hold function across every single trim level. Now as we move forward, you're going to find a big row of buttons for several different functions, especially here on the limited trim level. So you will find standard 3-stage heated seats if you choose the SEL trim level or above. However, the ventilated seats, those are going to come standard on just the fully loaded limited trim level. A lot in this class, though, don't offer ventilated seats at all, including the just released all-new Honda CR-V. And then above that, let's go ahead and take a look at our climate controls. So as you can probably tell, this is going to be a touch capacitive setup here. Dual zone automatic, starting with the SEL trim level. Overall responsiveness, though, is very good. I don't think this will bother you, although it does leave, of course, a lot of fingerprints because this is a shiny black piece of plastic. Right above that, though, we do also have touch capacitive version of our audio controls. So this is going to be available with a 6-speaker sound system, and if you get to the inline trim level, that's going to throw in the standard 8-speaker Bose premium sound system. That, of course, is what we have here on the fully loaded limited, and we'll go ahead and give it a sample right now. So overall sound quality of this system is quite good, especially with a very bass heavy song like that is. It really reproduces the bass very well. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the displays next. So we do have some updates for 2023 in this regard, just on the availability of the different screen sizes. So you still have the standard 8-inch display, however the 10.25-inch display, which is what you're looking at right now, that's actually going to move down the trim structure. So you will now have that if you choose the XRT inline or the limited trim levels. Now, as far as the functionality on board, this of course is running the latest Hyundai software. It's nice and responsive. The difference that, of course, most people are concerned about, though, is with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So both those systems are included on both screens, but it's going to be wireless on the 8-inch display only, and wired connection here with this upgraded 10.25-inch display. However, this larger display does come with the built-in navigation system. Now moving on from that, SEL Convenience does come with the 10-color ambient lighting, and SEL Convenience also gives you this HomeLink universal remote controlled auto dimming mirror that you see right here. We do have LED lighting up top. And then up with the roof, we've got the panoramic style moonroof. This is going to be included on the inline for 2023, as well as this top end limited you see here. And then you get the traditional size sunroof with the SEL Convenience model.
Well, guys, I'm always very happy in the rear seat of the Hyundai Tucson because ever since this came out last year, this new generation has so much space and also a ton of luxury amenities. So let's go ahead and dive into that and address some of those things. Now, as far as the legroom, we're looking at 41.3 inches of legroom, 39.5 inches of headroom. And just by eyeballing that, you can tell there is a ton of space. I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and I still have, I'd say 10 inches, almost a foot of space. And if you're curious as to how that compares to its rivals in terms of the legroom, it's actually going to be larger than stuff like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V, which is a pretty impressive feat. Now, as far as other comfort aspects, we can also recline the seats a pretty good distance with this little lever off to the side of the seat to add additional comfort. Now, some of your features as well. Let's talk about those. We have vents here in the center. That's going to be included on SEL trims and above. If we drop down below that, we have 2 charging USB ports, so whoever you have in the back can keep their phones charged up. Then you can also fold down the center armrest. That has 2 cup holders inside, although they are a little bit small. And then turning to your door trim, let's talk about the materials first. We do have a hard touch upper part, but I do like the use of the piano black as well as some cloth trim through the middle. The armrest portion is going to be leather wrapped, and in front of that you're going to notice the heated seat buttons. Those are going to be included on the limited trim level only. They are 2-stage heated rear seats, but that is a nice touch that Hyundai is including that as standard equipment on the limited model, and we do also have a bottle holder in the very bottom. Now, walking up to the tailgate of the Hyundai Tucson, as you can see by all that beeping, that we do have a hands-free power lift gate. That's going to be included on the SEL convenience trim levels of the Tucson and above. Now, as far as the space itself is concerned for the rear area of the Tucson, you're going to see a very similar story as you would in the second row because there is a ton of space back here as well. We're looking at over 38 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row seats. Then as a maximum, we're looking at 74 cubic feet with those seats folded down. That does make this one of the largest offerings in the entire segment. It's actually going to be better than something like a RAV4, ever so slightly, a little bit less than the Honda CR-V, but that places it in the top segment offerings for sure. And if you're curious, it's about 15 cubic feet larger than the previous generation Tucson, as well as about the same size as the Hyundai Santa Fe. Now, as far as some of the features, we do have a nice cargo cover up top, and then we can fold the seats down by using these little levers. That's honestly not a given in this segment of vehicle. A lot of times they won't include the handles back here, so that's really nice that you can just fold the seats from the cargo area. And then if we lift up the cargo floor, there is a spare tire up underneath of that, and we have a 12-volt outlet integrated here on the left side. Now, on this higher end Tucson model, of course, we do have a power adjusting passenger seat, so that's certainly a nice touch. You do not have lumbar support though, so that's something worth noting. And then if we pop open the glove box, we do have a good sized glove box inside of here. It's about the size that you would expect. And of course, let's go ahead and take a look at our coupons today. We're going to do something different. We're going to do Johnny Carino's. I've never been there, but you're going to get $10 off of 30. That's actually quite the deal. So you can fit that in there perfectly fine. No worries whatsoever. And up top, we do have a sun visor as well as a mirror integrated in. We have a separated light, and we can also detach the visor and extend it out.
Alright, and there we are, 60 miles per hour. So what we have on board with this Tucson is the standard powertrain. This is probably the version that most people are going to be choosing, although there are a couple other versions that we will briefly mention here in just a second. This is the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. Very class competitive numbers. And as you can see, it does get it up to speed pretty nicely.
Yeah. You know, and this is just one of the options. Drew said a couple. There's actually more than a couple. There's a lot of different choices. So they do offer a hybrid version, which I do also imagine is pretty popular. We've done several reviews on that hybrid model, so if you're interested in checking out the hybrid reviews, you can also find those on our channel. That's going to be a 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder plus a battery. You're going to be looking at 226 total system horsepower, so actually quite a bit of a power boost over this traditional gas power option. So you're going to get that extra fuel economy and the extra power. And there is additionally a plug-in hybrid, which is something we sampled out back in May in Nashville, and that's another option for you. That is going to have the same 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder plus a 13.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, and then that's going to have 261 horsepower. So that's going to be the most powerful option in the lineup and also the most efficient. But do keep in mind that's going to also carry the highest price tag as well.
Yeah, even when you're not accelerating like full blast, it is plenty of power and nice and smooth as well. Also nice and smooth is the 8-speed automatic transmission on board. That's right, we do have a traditional automatic on board for this version, as well as the hybrid version as well, which is something that does stand out because a lot of the rivals are going with the continuously variable transmission. So if you're one of those people that's bothered by this, then this is going to be a good option for you.
But up until this point, we haven't mentioned the ride quality or the sound level. So I'll go ahead and get that sound level reading while we're going at highway speed. Looks like we settled upon 56.1 decibels, going 55 miles an hour. That's very, very solid for this segment of vehicle, and just the overall ride quality. Like Drew and I were mentioning this off camera, we've reviewed 5 Tucsons since the all-new generation came out. So we've been behind the wheel of this Tucson actually for a lot of time, and it is very comfortable, guys. There's been long road trips in there. We've had it for week-long loaners. I mean, this is just a very, very comfortable car, even within its own segment. It's just very solid. You're going to be very pleasantly surprised when you get behind the wheel of this. This is a perfect family road tripper.
And I think we've only sampled this with the various 19-inch alloy options, but I imagine if you get one of the lower trims with the more tread on the tires, smaller diameter wheels, that's probably going to be even more comfortable.
Yeah. Now, as far as your drivetrains are concerned, for the gas-powered models, you're going to be looking at standard front-wheel drive, optional all-wheel drive across all the trim levels. If you go for a hybrid model, that's going to be all-wheel drive exclusive. And I do also want to mention your fuel economy. So for 2023, they've released MPG figures for just the all-wheel drive models. I'm not exactly sure why that's the case for the front-wheel drive ones, but for all-wheel drive, you're looking at 23, 28, 25 combined for this gas-powered model. If you go for the hybrid, you're rated at 37 MPG, and depending on which trim levels of the hybrid, you can get a little bit better fuel economy with the lower-end trim levels at 38 MPG.
Now you guys know, for our full reviews, we got to do our slam dunk and air balls. So for the slam dunk, that's got to be the amount of features that this Tucson packs in. Like I mentioned at the intro and throughout this video, for 2023, they've actually added even more standard features across the lineup. And this continues, no matter which trim level you get, to be a great value just because of how many features you have thrown in at each level.
Right. And as far as our air ball, honestly, guys, this is a tough one to find an air ball, but there is one thing I really don't like, and it's across every Hyundai product, and I'm going to airball it until they fix this feature, but the larger displays miss out on the wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. It should not be that way. I really like wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Those are nice features to have, and it's not included on the higher-end trim levels, which just doesn't make any sense. And the competition is really starting to add those, especially for the higher-end trim levels, like the all-new CR-V. You have to get the high-end trim levels, but it does include that, and that's going to be a major con for a lot of people.
Especially since they expanded the availability of the large display, which is normally a good thing, but you will lose that feature.
Now guys, wrapping up this review, I do want to talk about your pricing. So prices for 2023 are going to rise about $1,000 to $2,000 for each trim level, depending on which one it is. The SE is going to start at $26,450 for, and keep in mind these are all gas-powered offerings, and the Limited is going to start at $35,710. Now when we add all-wheel drive as well as the destination charge and a few added accessories, we're looking at $39,230 for this particular Tucson.
And there's your auto start stop system at work. It is nice and smooth. But overall, guys, we continue to be very impressed by this next generation Tucson. This is a vehicle that really improved in every way over the previous generation. And not just over the previous generation, it also became really one of the strongest competitors in the entire segment.
Well guys, thanks so much for joining us on this in-depth review of the 2023 Hyundai Tucson Limited. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and also followed us on some of our other social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram. Also, if you're looking for ways to support the channel, we would really appreciate if you bought some of our merch. As you can see, Drew wore it today, and we do have lots of different varieties and colors and whatnot on there for you to choose from. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.